is you're just creating pages. You're creating your own slideshow, if you will, on that. So new page, and then back in pages or forward in pages. When you get to the last page you're on, 4 of 4, the easiest way to make another page is just touch new page. You can also, you have these little turned up page ends. If you touch this right here, that makes a new page also. If you touch this up here, it goes back. So there's a lot of different ways to do the same thing in this software. Redundancy is always kind of considered to be a bad word, but there's redundancy in it. And what I mean about that is, if I want to look for something in submenus, I can touch menu and go into submenus. But I can also do it up here too, under my menu bar, which is what a lot of people, if you haven't worked with toolbars or floating toolbars on interactive products, this makes a lot more straightforward computer sense maybe than that does. Just a matter of preference on that. So once again, it's the same way. You can do things 2 different ways. You've got that topic list. We've talked about the mouse toggle button. And then these are fairly self-explanatory. These are your basic pen colors, no matter what style of pen you're in. You know, if it's black, here, touch here, see it's black, and it tells me it's black. If I touch red, it's going to even change down here and tell me it's red or whatever. So if I want to put a big red 4 up there, and I wanted to go back to this page, and I wanted to say, well, we'll touch black, and now that's page 3. Now, these are your primary colors, so you have black, red, blue, green, and then this one that's a little bit thicker, and I'll change back to a regular pen, is a highlighter. And you can make that as thick or thin as you want to if you want a thicker highlighter or whatever you want to do. You're not limited to these colors, because whether you're in highlighter or pen or whatever, if you touch this, you've got all these different colors that you can use. And you've got different types of inks, which for math teachers, I don't know how much of this stuff you'll use in here, but it's fun. So if you want to say, you know what, we're going to write a 3 in brick wall, we can do that, or strawberries or whatever. Sometimes it's it's just something different if you want. And these are fill colors, so if you leave a little bit out, when you do that, it fills in the shade. I mean, it actually fills that in. So for what that's worth, and then I'll get rid of that, and we'll go into that in a second. But most of the time, you're going to be in either primary color here or a primary highlighter color, which there's lots of highlighter colors too. There's just as many. So what you have is 6 types of inks and 12 shades or colors in each one. So there's a lot of things you can do for you artistic types. You can do that. So that's your primary colors, and then eraser is right here. This symbol is eraser. So if I write something 3 and then I want to erase, well, I can touch either eraser here or eraser here, and I've got an eraser. That gives me 3 sizes of eraser. That's the biggest. A lot of times it'll default to that middle one, which you see is smaller. Or if you want to erase just a little bit of something, you've got a smaller eraser. You also, when you're in eraser, when you write something then and you go to eraser, you're also going to have in the middle of the context bars down here, you're going to have a clear. So if you want to clear the whole page, and you have a lot of stuff on it, you can touch this, and you can clear the whole page. You've got 2 different types of eraser. More than 90% of the time, it's not going to matter which one of these you're in. This is the regular eraser. This is an image eraser for actually erasing or editing images that are true JPEGs and things like that. On that science people have more fun with that. On that, but if you want to, correct images or you want to edit images and save them and things like that. So you have the primary colors. You have an eraser. Number 1 is set up as a default for calibration. Does everybody know how to calibrate their board? Okay, well that's a good one. We'll go back to that, because when I first came in here your projector was kind of cockeyed. And I just was able to straighten it up a little bit, but in doing that, my calibration was off because I changed something. If you move the board, or you move that, or you change the settings of that or size, you're going to have to recalibrate it. When you get it like you want, you shouldn't calibrate very often because that shouldn't move and that shouldn't move. But I moved it, so what I had to do was, I just touched number 1. There's another way to go through the menus and find it, but with these boards you don't need to worry about because this is the quickest way. Touch number 1, it's going to bring up this little calibration screen. And all you're going to do is just touch it.
You need to do that noise. Ding.
I agree.
Ding.
Thank you for the audio track. So what we have here is we have the boards calibrated.
What happens if like you do it and it's like on the side, like it's not on the, I need to adjust that. If I do it and it doesn't show everything on the white, on the storyboard, do I need to readjust that?
Well, you need to readjust that.
Oh, wait a second, which projector, are you using your ceiling mounted projector? Now, your ceiling mounted projector should already be adjusted.
Oh, okay.
If you're using a tabletop projector, that's not connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whichever one is connected to your computer. Because think about it this way, kind of the basics of this. This is, if I'm not touching this or doing anything, this is a screen. I mean, this is essentially a image area, 77-inch diagonal screen. So if I play a movie on this or I put something up here or whatever, it's a screen first off. So the first thing I'd want to do is I'd want to use as much of the picture from here to there as I can, and I'd want to make sure this is squared. Hers was tilting, so I reached up and kind of squared it up. But anytime I make an adjustment on one of the two, and I'm not going to move this, I'm going to need to recalibrate it. Because that's the thing about calibration. I'm calibrating to the image. So even if the image is a little cockeyed or a little off, I can still calibrate it and still make the image, still make me accurate inside that image. You know, if I made this image a quarter size smaller than it is now, I'd have to recalibrate, but I could still be accurate within that image area. So if you're setting up your projector or you're putting something up here and it doesn't fill maybe the way it's mounted, it doesn't fill up the screen all the way, or it's not perfect, don't worry about that, because if you need to get going and get calibrated, you can still calibrate inside that image. Now, just for general purposes, I try to straighten it up just because it bothers me when it's, you know, doing this or something. But like I said, you're calibrating to the image, to the area, so it doesn't really matter if it's, you know, perfectly straight or it's all filled up or anything like that. That'll make it easier, but you can do it either way. So that's all calibration is you're lining up your point of contact with your arrow, with your cursor, whatever, your select tool, whatever you want to call it on your computer. So meaning when you touch here to minimize it, that's where it touches. And I don't touch here and the thing's over there.
Right.
You know, because then closing windows, minimizing things can become very frustrating. And if you have a problem calibrating it where it's not holding calibration or something, let her know, because that's generally a software issue or something. Maybe the driver didn't load all the way, something like that. Because realistically, this thing shouldn't move, that should move once it's set up. And so you're going to get a little bit of shake, you know, over a few months or maybe even a month or something, depending on how much the walls shake. You might find that you're a little out of calibration. You do it every now and then, but you shouldn't have to do it if the picture didn't move. Is my point. And in fact, a lot of times, even before you calibrate it, if you square up your image pretty good, with everything on here, on the screen, you'll find that you're pretty close already. Not perfectly accurate, but you're fairly close. On yours, it was angled. And, yeah, it had to be recalibrated. So it's working, it's going to work better now, and your image is going to be clearer on that, or easier to work with because it's not slanted. Number 2 is wide open. Number 2 is not anything. It can be set up to be another quick access button, and there's a way to do that. And at the very end, if anybody wants to do that, I'll show you how to do that. I don't delve into that too much because you could actually change all these if you wanted to, and then if you didn't relabel them, you'd really be. But there's always a way to go back to a default, so it's easy enough to do on that. Pen tools. You've got several different pen tools in this software. Primarily, you've got, well, they call it normal pen, and that's what it is. It's just a pen tool. Whether I'm in, highlighter or whatever, it's a pen tool. So it's not going to try to do anything different. It's not going to try to zoom, select, or anything. So a lot of times, if you have students writing on the board, the normal pen tool is the best way, or is the best tool for them to use, because it's not going to try to scroll or select or anything like that. The next pen tool, and the one that teachers like a lot and use a lot, is the IntelliPen, the one with the little objects around it. It'll let me do the same thing. It'll let me freehand write, no problem. It's not going to do anything different. But what's different about it is, if I want to make a square and I want it to look nicer than that, it's going to correct itself. It's really handy for arrows or things you want to point at, because if I just go like this and make a little hook up, it makes an arrow. If I want to make a circle,
final for drawing crooked lines all the time on the board.
It makes pretty nice ovals for teachers that, maybe not as much in math, but you want to do your little quick, easy Venn diagram here. I didn't make them perfectly sized, but here, guess what? It also acts as a select tool. So if I tab that and I want to make it a little bit bigger, make it a little bit bigger, whatever I want to do to it, then I can do that. So it works as a pen tool for writing, freehand writing. It also works as a shape tool, and it'll make different shapes. Stars, it does like this.
Can you do hearts?
Mr. Ken like heart.
It won't make it hard.
Oh, that's okay.
You can draw a heart. It won't make a heart.
Ken, is there a graphing paper?
Yeah,
I saw that.
what you have here is anytime when you're in IntelliPen, also another thing notice too is these are context. This is the context bar down here. So when you change a tool, like I'll go back to regular pen, what you'll see is there's not as many things down here. There's just basic things like your colors and your ink styles, and you've got some, line styles and things like that.
Dashed or solid.
And that. So if I go to IntelliPen, I have all that and more. A lot of stuff grayed out, but it gives me access to a lot of the same things that are in the submenus. So anytime, I'll just make another new page. Down here I've got this.